Hello everybody and welcome to Britball with the Breens Ep9, covering weeks 11 and 12 of the British National Football Leagues this week. So what we'll do is, again as normal, we'll go through the results from the weekend, we'll go through the fixtures for next week, we'll do the Division 1 power rankings from our view, and then we'll poke a bit of fun at the dummies this week because there was one standout this week. So another good week in the Britball year with a few surprises this week. Not only for us, but I think for the whole Britball community. So that started off on the Prem North when the Edinburgh Wolves, who had 0%, beat Manchester Titans 17-6. Bit unexpected, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's our second 0% winner of the year. We kind of did touch on the fact that, Manchester and Edinburgh was close last time. I still don't think we expected it. Manchester fresh off of beating Tamworth and then beating Merseyside. You'd fully expect them to go and get the win at Edinburgh, but there must just be something that Wolves done that they've got the Titans number. A great win for Edinburgh, and it puts them in a great position for avoiding the drop as well now. Still needing sort of something from the Leicester game or somewhere else along the way, but now it's not about winning by more than 10 points. They can now look at it that if they can pick up a win here or there, or even some such as a tie against Leicester would be enough.
Yeah, and I mean it was only 14-0 to the Titans at home, which we said last week. And with this division the way it is at the moment, you just can't guess anything. But bravo to Edinburgh, smallest percentage of the week by some way, and a great win. And the Prem South, the Kent Exiles 8, the London Olympians 28. Kent coming off of a good win last week. Struggle to put up points against the Olympians this time.
Yeah, I mean, the Olympians have looked strong this year. It's not a surprise to see them win. It's a close-ish kind of game. Okay, it's 3 scores, but I wouldn't be too displeased with that. I think Kent maybe have sort of that one eye looking on that Farnham game going forward.
They should have one eye looking on that Farnham game.
Yeah, that's they obviously look to try and pick something up before that, but you'd be thinking they're looking at that game as sort of that must-win situation. But it's a good win for the Olympians. Keeps going with a strong season and keeps them moving forward.
Yeah, it does. The other game in that division, Bristol Aztecs 8, the London Blitz 20. Aztecs at home. Blitz struggling this year, so a 2-score win for the Blitz is not a shock, and it's not huge. It's not a shock that it's not a huge scoreline either.
No, I guess from whatever you look at it, it's been a disappointing year for the Blitz. They've been blown away by the Warriors twice now. It's another win. They're another step closer towards the playoffs. Whether that is even relevant doesn't matter at this point. They're just looking to get to that playoffs and hopefully get a win.
Yeah. In our division, NFC 1 North, tough day at the office for us. Made way too many mistakes, and East Kilbride were ruthless, I think is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, I mean, too many turnovers for a start, but take nothing away from East Kilbride. Every time they got an opportunity, they absolutely took it, and they really put us to the sword.
Yeah, really tough game. I'm still sore, and we're on Wednesday. Glasgow Tigers 0, Northumberland Vikings 42. Another good win for Northumberland, keeping pace with East Kilbride, it seems.
Yeah, well, it keeps them in that chance of looking to that head-to-head game to end the season to try and overturn the head-to-head, maybe nick that number 1 spot. A disappointing day out for Glasgow. Obviously ourselves in Glasgow meet next week, so there's a chance for both teams to put that right. Yeah, I mean, it's a good win for Northumberland. It's nowhere near as close as the first time these two teams met, so they'll be pleased with that one.
Yeah. In the NFC 1 South, Shropshire Revolution 43, Doncaster Mustangs 0. We know this is going to happen probably the rest of the season now with Doncaster already relegated. So Shropshire are putting up the points when they can.
Yeah, and I mean, the point as well, though, is let's not forget that this was happening to Doncaster well before as well. This isn't really a surprise of a score. Shropshire will be glad to get a good win in their system as well, especially with that chase now on with Lancashire to try and get that second playoff spot.
Yeah, so that's going to be an interesting wee battle. And then Chester Romans 0, Samuel Steelers 43. No surprises there. Chester have had a decent outing in the Division 1 as their starters. As their first season. Samuel are just too good for everyone in that division at the moment, I think.
Yeah, and it just goes back to you do have to look at it as still Sandwell are the favourites to represent the North in the Division 1 final.
Yeah.
And as yet, nothing's changed, my opinion on that.
No. In the SFC 1 Central, Portsmouth Dreadnoughts 9, Solent Thrashers 47. This one was a little bit of a shock. Not the fact of the result, but the gap of the result is massive.
Yeah, I mean, the Thrashers sort of lived up to their name in this one. They're off the back of a strong win against the Thunder. Their offense is really starting to build up towards the end of the season, which is great news for them heading into the playoffs. You'd have to fancy them to keep that form up. Portsmouth will be a little disappointed. Maybe again looking at slightly more winnable games before the season's out. But it's a strong win for Solent, a strong statement heading towards those playoffs.
Yeah, again, Portsmouth in their first year as well in Division 1. They've done a decent job this year as well. They've had some good wins and have been competitive in all their games. So, bravo to them so far. The other games in that division, Oxford Saints 7, Berkshire 26. Probably one of the biggest upsets of the weekend. To be fair, in the first game it was really close, so we were kind of expecting the same, but a 3-score swing for Berkshire Renegades is a bit of a turnaround, especially away from home.
Well, and that's the thing as well. They needed to win, and they needed to overturn the head-to-head, and they did both in one game, and that puts the Saints in a whole world of trouble now. They now need to pick up a win or a tie somewhere else along the way, with Berkshire not winning anything or tying anything. It's a huge win for Berkshire to possibly keep them in Division 1 next year.
Yeah. The last game in that division, Hertfordshire Cheetahs 6, Sussex Thunder 23. Again, away from home, Sussex Thunder putting up some points and putting a loss to Hertfordshire that struggling to score some points just now.
Yeah, and I mean, it's become a little bit unpredictable this division, I guess, towards the end. It's a strong win for Sussex. They'll now own the head-to-head in this one as well. It's a really strong win. It's a really good win, especially on the road, and they're still in that fight for that second playoff spot.
Yeah, and I'm going to be an interesting run-in for that spot. In the SFC 1 East, the Ouse Valley Eagles 0, Bury Saints 27. Good result for Bury away from home, not conceding any points. A decent showing from them.
Yeah, stout defence again, and a good shutout, 27-point win, job done.
Yeah, and they were done absolutely no favours this week by the fact that the Cambridgeshire Cats lost to the London Hornets 9-6 at home. Yeah. Cambridgeshire, what are you doing to me?
I mean, I have already told him he's banned. I've backed the Cats the whole way, and they haven't let me down yet until you picked them. They'll be disappointed. They're still in control of their own destiny. They've got one game left. To win that, they still win the division, which means they get a home playoff game. They'll be disappointed by the loss, sure. As you pointed out, it does Bury no favours because they're really trying to chase for that second spot, and it's kind of really dented that opportunity. It's kind of put London in command.
Yeah, but for the Hornets, I've backed them so many times, even against Kent last year, Backed them last time they lost, and this time I thought, oh, you know what, Cambridgeshire's at home. Of course, London go and win. So they are starting to look strong again at the end of the season. And then NFC 2 North, there was no games. And then NFC 2 Central, the Nottingham Raiders 0, Halton Spartans 47.
Yeah, I mean, you just wonder how long Halton starters were even out there for. Doesn't really look like they were tested. It's another win to chalk up towards going to the playoffs.
Yeah, and they just need to keep themselves focused now, so that they can perform in the playoffs. Morecambe Bay Storm 43, Furness Phantoms 16. So Furness, I mean, they won the first round. Morecambe Bay have blown them away in the second time.
Yeah, I mean, this was kind of the Morecambe Bay we came to get used to last year. They put up a lot of points, they conceded a fair few as well, and you kind of expected them to carry that into this year. It didn't happen. They get their first win at last against Furness, who now have even bigger problems. Good win for Morecambe Bay, disappointing loss for Furness.
Yeah. In the NFC 2 South, the Lincolnshire Bombers 7, Birmingham Bulls 21. Birmingham crowned their champions of that division, but Lincolnshire gave them a game.
Yeah, and Lincolnshire again, at the start of the season, looking at the end of last season as well, they kind of just needed to take that step, and they have. They've got over the surge. They're second in that division. They're running the Bulls close. They're going to be a dangerous team in the playoffs. Keep an eye on them.
Yeah, they are, and they were number 4 on our list last week, and they certainly won't be moving from there anytime soon. No. Speaking of getting over the Staffordshire Surge, the Humber Warhawks 14, Staffordshire Surge 8. Now, either what has happened to Staffordshire this season, or has everybody else upped their game?
I mean, there's obviously going to be a bit of both. You have to think that Staffordshire, after losing twice to Lincolnshire and the Bulls, some of their guys may be switched off. But the biggest issue with this loss here is purely on the basis of there's a high chance that eliminates them completely from playoffs. They were maybe in a chance with that 7-8 seed, and that might not happen now because of that loss.
And that's an interesting one because they've been a decent team in that division for a while, but now they're not only getting beat by Lincolnshire, but now they've been beat by obviously Humber as well. So a great win for Humber, really solid. They seem to be going the right direction anyway.
Now, if they could just get rid of that red and green combo, I'd be okay with that.
The SFC2 West, Worcestershire Black Knights 6, Somerset Wyverns 44. Worcestershire not going to be overly happy about the addition of some new associate teams within shooting distance of them. Wonder how much that's had an effect on them this season. But Somerset doing the job.
Yeah, I mean, Somerset have clearly made a lot of improvements this year. You do have to be worried about the Knights. I mean, this is the same team that made it into the playoffs last year before pulling out of their playoff game, which is bad enough at any time. Citing low numbers at the end of last year, you'd maybe argue that some of the more committed guys decided that it wasn't the place for them, maybe if they were going to forfeit playoff games, and maybe that's why they're struggling to even win a game this year. Still haven't managed to pick one up, and Somerset really did them bad.
Yeah. In the NFC 2 South, London Blitz B 68, Jurassic Coast 0. There's a surprise. And in the other game, Hastings Conquerors 0, Swindon Storm 69. There's another surprise. Really, can we talk about these two anymore?
The only issue I have here is that it always feels like we're detracting from the Blitz B. They're clearly a strong team that are being hampered by a terrible division. Swindon, been comfortably beaten by other teams, and yet are still able to go and put 69 up in a team. It doesn't look good. The Blitz B clearly looks strong, and they're still putting up the points, and they're still going to look good in the playoffs.
Yeah, and we obviously had them our number 1 for the Division 2 South. Their biggest issue again is when they're going to come up against a test, so they're going to be able to step up. But on the ref shortage, if anyone is reffing Jurassic Coaster Hastings, just bin it and go to an actual game and ref that one instead. Might be a good idea. The SFC2 East, Ipswich Cardinals 21, East Essex Sabres 7. Another win for Ipswich. They've kind of just been there the whole season. They've not done anything spectacular, but they've not lost many games.
No, well, the interesting is they haven't lost a game.
Yeah.
They've tied twice. Which
What's the chances?
is bizarre. They had their tie win Norwich that we all watched with intrigue as well. It's a strong win. It keeps them in there. I mean, I'd have to sit down and get my calculator out to try and work out what effect it's going to have on the playoffs with regards to these teams. But at the moment, they haven't lost. They're still managing to find ways to win, even with the 2 ties where they haven't. It's a good win for them.
Yeah. And then the Norwich Devils 6, the Essex Spartans 8. So away from home, Essex Spartans stay undefeated. I guess Norwich, again, they're just failing to put up points. Someone this week was commenting back and forth with me about Norwich Devils, and to be honest with you, your division isn't overly strong and you're still struggling to put up points. You're not going to get the plaudits that you think you deserve. So once we see Norwich putting up points like they did last season, then maybe we'll consider giving them a bit more praise. But again, Essex stay undefeated, and that's brilliant for them at the top of the division.
Yeah, I guess when you get to that point, it is literally just about getting the wins. Honestly, I don't really think any teams going into the playoffs have much to fear from that division.
No.
I could be wrong. They could go to the playoffs and it could be seriously good on defense. I'm not buying it. I think teams that are going into the playoffs won't be worried about the SFC2 East.
No, I don't think they will. So that's the fixtures for the week. So again, congratulations to the Wolves on the lowest percentage win, and totally destroying everybody's predictions. Now we'll go into this week's coming fixtures, and there's some interesting ones here with some playoff scenarios. So we'll go through these. So first game up in the Premiership North, we have the Tamworth Phoenix against Edinburgh Wolves. In all seriousness, the Tamworth Phoenix should win this, but this could go anyway.
Well, at this point, who knows?
Yeah.
I seen a thing out this week about the Prem North where every team's beating the other team, and to the point where, well, what's even going on anymore? Tamworth should win. It's at Tamworth. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'll back Tamworth on this occasion, but at this point it could be anyone's guess in the north.
Yeah, and it actually makes for a really exciting division. But when it comes to Britball, the Warriors must be sitting at home going, "Oh my God, Snorefest!" Like, none of these guys are going to challenge them. So, like, it's brilliant for the North for it to be so competitive, but I think in overall Britball terms, it's a bit disappointing.
Yeah, and you do sort of, from a Warrior standpoint, have to think they're going to have to start taking that venture into Europe to actually get competition.
Yeah. Another game in that division, the Manchester Titans versus the Sheffield Giants. Now, I was this close to picking the Giants. This close. And the only reason I haven't is because Manchester seem to be able to win at home. We don't know which Manchester Titans we're going to get by the looks of it. They beat Tamworth with 0% vote, and then with 100% of vote, they lose to the Edinburgh Wolves. Like, don't know how to judge this. And Sheffield's defence have been looking good. They've been picking up wins here and there. But I think Manchester will scrape this one purely because they're at home.
Yeah, and I mean, again, like the first game, flip a coin, who knows exactly. You'd fancy Manchester to win. Yeah, I imagine they'll be running pretty hard at practice this week, trying to right the wrongs of last Sunday. I'll stick with Manchester on this occasion, but yeah, again, this one could go either way.
Yeah, and then the last game in this division, Merseyside must have been sitting laughing last week, as Manchester may have helped hand them a chance at the title this season, as if they didn't have a one hand on it already. So Merseyside play Leicester at Merseyside. They've been easy. They've been good at putting up points. They concede points. Leicester have been kind of a decently stout defence, but haven't scored many points. So I can only see Merseyside win this one.
Yeah, I think in fairness, out of the 3 games, this is probably the most predictable one, which no doubt means I'll be wrong. You'd fancy Merseyside to win this one. I think they've got a bit too much, and they now get a chance to really apply that pressure to keep the chances of playoffs on.
Yeah. In the Premiership South, Kent Exiles versus the London Warriors. That's not going to be fun by from Kent's point of view. They've played well this year, though. They have done well in their first season in the Prem. But as we've said, the Warriors just seem to be a different level altogether at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, mathematically, the Warriors can win the division. They already have, let's be fair, but mathematically they can with a win. I see no reason for them to let up.
Yeah.
And again, when we speak about Kent, you can't help but feel, especially with this kind of game, they're going to have one eye on that Farnham game coming up.
Yeah, they won't want to get many injuries and stuff like that. The other game of that division, the London Olympians versus the Bristol Aztecs. Olympians again have been putting up some good scores in the last few weeks. Bristol Aztecs have been a hit or miss this season. They're away from home. I actually expect London to win this one by 2 or 3 scores.
Yeah, I mean, there is that, but Bristol ran the blitz quite close and stuff, so it might be closer than we think.
Yeah.
I'd expect the Warriors to win.
Yeah.
The Olympians, my bad.
The Olympians,
Sorry,
yeah.
Sorry, guys.
In the NFC 1 North, we've got ourselves versus Glasgow. Won't say too much about that, but it's a good game for both of us. Both teams coming off heavy losses to the 2 division powerhouses. So that'll be an interesting game. Obviously, we move home this Sunday, so we'll be at our new venue for next season this Sunday. So that'll be interesting for us.
Hopefully, a flat field now.
Yeah, it will be a flat field. East Kilbride's field was top notch. The other game of that division, Gateshead Senators versus East Kilbride Pirates. That could get very messy.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to be a Senator going into this game, that's for sure.
No.
How many of their starters East Kilbride play, I don't know, but this could be ugly.
Yeah. The only thing that's... Oh, sorry. The only thing going for the Gateshead Senators is they're at home, and I'm not even sure that's the slightest bit of an advantage. The last game in the division, Northumberland Vikings versus Yorkshire Rams. Now, the Yorkshire Rams have been getting better and better as the season goes on. They did this last year as well, but they've been getting better and better as the season goes on. I still think Northumberland might be too strong for them, and they've got a lot to play for this week.
Yeah, Northumberland obviously have that chance to secure the playoffs. They're at home. Yorkshire have been getting stronger. That Northumberland defence is very aggressive. And with that run-heavy offence that the Rams run, you'd think Northumberland have enough to get this done, but it could be a close game.
Assuming that all their players don't take offence to what was posted online.
Well, yeah.
But we'll go over that later. In the NFC 1 South, Doncaster Mustangs versus Nottingham Caesars. Doncaster are relegated. Nottingham Caesars had an up-and-down season, but they've had some good wins. I can see them going and putting a good bit of points up on Doncaster.
Yeah, and obviously this is one of those games for the Caesars where they know they get a good chance to get a good offensive out and a good defensive out and a bit of a morale boost, and I fully see them taking advantage of that.
Yeah, I would agree. And then the Lancashire Wolverines versus Chester Romans. Lancashire started off a bit iffy at the start of the season, looked like they've had some decent results of late. They're starting to put in some points on offence, so I would think that they're going to win this one by a decent level of comfort.
Yeah, and not to mention that they're also kind of in that position where they're fighting to get that second playoff spot in that division. So you'd expect them to be up for the game, and I think that might be enough just to see them across.
Yeah, take nothing away from Chester. They beat them last time, but I just think Lancashire have improved quite a lot since, and it might be a struggle. The SFC1 Central, Sussex Thunder versus Portsmouth Dreadnoughts. Sussex coming off of a brilliant win against Hertfordshire. Portsmouth coming off a bit of a hammering. It should still be a competitive game, but I think Sussex are on the up at the moment.
Yeah, and they're now back in with that chance of making the playoffs, that second spot. And I'm sure they'll be looking at that, and this is an opportunity to really, really apply that pressure to Hertfordshire.
Yeah, and speaking of Hertfordshire, they've got they're at home to Berkshire Renegades this weekend. A good chance for them to bounce back, put up a load of points, and get themselves back into that more secure position, shall we say, in that division. Last game in that division, Solent Thrashers versus Oxford Saints.
Yeah, sort of Solent obviously just kind of cruising along at the moment, really starting to rack up the points. Oxford look like they're in deep trouble. I don't see Solent having any problem here.
No, I think that'll be a get up early, rest your boys. So then the next division we have the SFC1 East. Now this first game is interesting purely from the fact that Ouse Valley have already been yellow carded. They're already getting relegated. However, I do think that they're going to beat the Colchester Gladiators even though it's away from home.
Interestingly enough, we both agree on this one. We both picked the Eagles to win. Colchester, they haven't looked great. They competed in games. The Eagles, Colchester haven't really. I fancy the Eagles to win this game, and then you have to ask the question: should they win the two games against Colchester and could have stayed up? Do they feel disappointed about the fact that they forfeited a game and got relegated?
Yeah, I would think that they gave Wembley a good game, like a really good game. A couple of weeks after they were announced that they were on a yellow card, they go out and beat Colchester handily here. They're going to, I would think that in one sense of their mind, they're going to be thinking, oh, well, we should really be in this division again. But in the other side, they're maybe content with going down to the next division and working their way back up. The other game in that division now becomes an absolute cracker purely because of the London Hornets win last week. Because Wembley have a big charity day. Is that a charity day they've got on?
Yeah.
So they've got a big charity day on. They're at home. They really pushed the Cats a couple of weeks ago. Now they're at home against a Hornets team that just beat the Cats. So this could be an absolute belter of a game.
Yeah, and it should be. Again, with the Hornets, because of that win last week, which, as we discussed earlier, did Bury no favours, now means that a win for London secures that playoff spot. This could be a really tough game, a really close game. I back the Hornets, even though they're on the road. It's not exactly like it's a long road trip. No. But yeah, this one should be close.
Yeah, Bury will be cheering for Wembley all day, I would think. In the NFC2 Central, Furness Phantoms versus Leeds Bobcats. Now, if you haven't seen, Furness have withdrawn from this game. They've been given a yellow card. They've been relegated down to the next division.
They're already in Division 2.
Oh, sorry. Lol. My bad. So they've got a yellow card for this season. Now, whether it's refs or not, we don't really know the ins and outs, but it seems like, again, it's we're up against the tougher division rivals. Let's make this one the one we're not going to play. But we'll never know.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think that the loss to Morecambe played a huge factor in that. I get the upset at the amount of BAFA officials that are, BAFRA officials that are available, but teams, particularly in Division 2, were warned about this. It's not like they didn't know this might come. I find it quite difficult to blame BAFRA for this. People, us as teams, we need to make more of an effort to get more officials into the game so that situations like this don't happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, we rescheduled our game on Sunday purely to help the refs out, so to make sure we could get some refs, so it is doable. The next division down, the NFC2 South, the Crew Railroaders at home to Birmingham. Birmingham already secured the division. Probably put up points early and then cruise it through the rest of the game.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing for this one is Birmingham will look to keep the conceding points to a minimum.
Yeah.
Because they'll be looking to secure that number 1 spot and get home field all the way through.
Yeah, and at the moment, it's very close between them and Halton. Because Halton haven't conceded hardly any either.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see which one of those two come out on top. The other game in this division could now be a good one. Lincolnshire at home to Humber. Not far for Humber to go. Don't know if they're strong enough to beat Lincolnshire this season, but having both beat the Surge, then you just never know.
Yeah, but then again, I guess we factor in the fact that Lincolnshire can secure their playoffs with a win.
Yeah.
And in that case, they'll probably be really up for this game, and I think they'll make life hard for the Warhawks.
Yeah, I think they will. I think they will be out to get this game and get themselves in the playoffs after last season. So then in the SFC2 East, the Norwich Devils at home to Ipswich Cardinals. If we get another 31-all draw, then decent game. Bravo. However, I can't see this. I think this is going to be a low-scoring affair, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, neither team's really set the scoreboard alight. They had that game, and it was kind of, realistically, it was a freak game in the season. Do I see it happening again? No. It could go either way. Ipswich are currently riding a little bit of form. I think they get it done, and I think they'll be desperate to avoid a third tie this year.
Yeah, I would think so. In the SFC2 West, although this doesn't have any implications at the moment, I think this is a massive game, especially because we put the Bristol Apache as our number 4 team in that South 2 division. They are at home to Somerset Wyverns. Now, Somerset coming off of a huge win. Bristol have looked like they've got stronger the whole season, kind of like their Prem brother team. So I expect this one to be an interesting game. I hope and think that Bristol Apache will win this one come the end of the day, though.
Yeah, and I think, as you've pointed out, they'll be getting stronger and stronger as the year goes on. We highlighted them last week as a team that could potentially be dangerous come the playoff time. We've obviously seen nothing change that. This will be a decent test for them. I think they have too much for Somerset, though.
Yeah. And the last game of the week, a repeat of a game a couple of weeks ago. South Wales Warriors are at home to Torbay Trojans. Now, South Wales destroyed them away from home, so I can only see them destroying them at home, which really could leave it open for Bristol to jump into Torbay's spot over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I don't think Torbay will be particularly looking forward to this game, although maybe they're looking to bounce back straight away. South Wales being at home this time, you'd expect them to win big. When we were doing the score predictions, when it was the game of the week, there was a Torby player who was giving an angry react to everybody that picked against Torbay, so I hope he since went back and rectified that, given they got well and truly spanked last time.
Yes.
They might be looking this game as just a quick bounce back, but I don't see it.
No. So that's all the fixtures, the results. Again, like I said, we'll go through our Division 1 power rankings, what we think. Over the next couple of weeks we'll back them up. But the Division 2 ones didn't change after last week.
No, and it's worth pointing out as well with that South Wales game that they will secure the division with a win as well. So.
Right, so they'll have extra going for them. So this week we've got the Division 1. So we'll start with the North. Okay, so this is our top 4 for the North. Alright. So, Sandwell, obviously, in lovely exclamation marks, number 1. I'm not sure I can see anyone beating them. The EKP may get close to them. I think it might end up those two in the final. The semi-final, sorry, to play whoever is in the South. Vikings have run EKP close this season and haven't dropped any other games. So they're strong, and the Wolverines, although they had a bit of a wobbly start, seem to have picked up as the season went on, and I think they're probably the fourth strongest team in this division. There was consideration given to one or two others, but I think right now these are the four that will really make a difference. And the other in the south, so we have these ones in the south. Solent look stronger than most. They're putting up points. They're winning all their games. I don't think we can disagree that they're the top lot. The Cats obviously slipped up against the Hornets this week, but they have beat them this season. They do own the head-to-head with them and have maybe looked a little bit more consistent against other teams than the Hornets have.
Yeah.
And then the last one was the only reason this isn't Bury is because the Hornets won. I would say that I certainly would have had Bury in there, because I think they've been more consistent than Hertfordshire, and the fact that Hertfordshire took such a bad loss to Sussex. But then again, we could have had Sussex in here.
Yeah, I mean, once you start getting down to that sort of number 4 place, there's a few teams definitely have a case. And Hertfordshire will be hoping that this was just a blip against Sussex. We'll know more about it in the coming weeks. So for now, I think they rightfully hold on to that place.
Yeah.
Especially given that there's now a high chance Bury don't even make the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think again Sussex can feel hard done by. They're not in this. After just beating the Cheetahs, but at the moment, I think the Cheetahs could potentially lose out there if results don't go their way over the next couple of days. If Sussex go out there and thump Portsmouth, then I would think they're probably going to jump them. So that's our look at who we think is the top teams for the first division. Last kind of piece of thing is about our dummies. So we've really got two this week. First one is, again, blaming the refs for having a yellow card is one thing. Like, put something in place to make sure that doesn't happen would be a good suggestion. Everyone was warned that this might happen, especially for the Division 2 teams. But again, we need to stop using the refs as a scapegoat every time.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's, BAFRA has a set amount of officials. They have a set amount of game weeks. They have to put a minimum amount of officials to games. I don't agree with this sort of splitting the referee squads up and having coaches refereeing alongside officials. I think it just gets ugly. They can only do so much with what they have. They're already trying to run guys thin to cover as much as they can. Teams have to do more at this point to get more officials in. We've all got guys on the sidelines, guys that should be there, free, available, that, if push comes to shove, they're level 1, they're able to referee a game. And the general thing what we've heard is that, Furness refused to self-officiate their game. If that is the case, then they've got no one to blame but themselves.
No, and I think the other thing that comes into that is, would they have done this if it was another bottom side? This is why so many people are so hesitant to go, yeah, it's the ref's fault, because the teams that do it only seem to do it against teams that know they're going to get beat by. So it puts a thing in the back of everyone's mind that, they're just pulling out because it's a team that they're going to get thumped by. Sometimes you need to take a thumping, and that's how your team gets better, or you can learn something from it. So that'll be an interesting one. The other one, obviously, is a super interesting one. I've very clearly voiced my opinions on Britball forums over the last couple of years about the transfers. I don't understand why the transfer isn't done in May. Put it in May. Nobody can transfer a team after that. You shouldn't want to transfer a team. You shouldn't be able to. If you choose a team for the season, you should be having to stick with that team. And this causes so many problems because it isn't then, it's in July, and now we seem to have one coach go out and he's actively hunting another team's players. Actually, it's not even that. He's actually asking for another team's players to go through a playoff run.
Yeah, I mean, asking for guys basically to come on loan for the rest of the season is... I mean, I'm sure there's been a lot of things like this in Britball, but it's the first time I've experienced this particular one. I mean, I also said my bit on it that if you need those players to win the playoffs and get promoted, then do you not need them next year in the Premier Division? I mean, surely if you need them to get you promoted, you're going to need them for the Premier Division. So I can't really understand the thought process there. I agree that the transfer window needs to close a lot earlier. I get there's incidents throughout the year where somebody moved from Aberdeen to, I don't know, let's just say Cambridge, but at the end of the day,
you can wait.
If that's what happens because it's due to your work, you can wait until the next season.
Yeah.
Or, push come to shove, there can be a waiver process whereby your team acknowledges a sort of a special agreement that you're not in that division anymore, you're playing for a completely different team because you've had to move away due to work. But this, try to go from Glasgow to East Kilbride or trying to go from London to London, I'm not saying that's what's happened, but rather than using the one specific example we have, there has to be something done about this, because at the end of the day, all that's happening is that teams are going to abuse it.
Yeah.
And it happens time and time again. And on this occasion, asking for a loan of players is just madness.
Yeah, and this, I've got very little sympathy for it because I played for a team down south. I moved back up north, some 120 miles away, and I still travelled down for 4 months to play for that team until the season was up. And then once the season was up, I transferred. So I can't sympathise with anyone that's doing it. Like, it should be you should be in deep trouble for searching for players. Like, they're getting players from Carlisle because Carlisle have folded. We're the same with Dundee. We've had some players from Dundee recently because Dundee aren't a thing anymore. So I can understand that side of it, but when you're actively going after another team that has just had their first season completed and going, oh, do you want to come to us and play in the playoffs? No. And also your own players must be thinking, what a twat. Like, they've got you to, at the moment, the 6-1? The one defeat, 6-1 or something like that? And you're saying, oh, well, we can't do it with them. Like, if that was me as a player, I'd be hacked off. And I think this is something that really needs to be looked at over the off season. Just put that transfer ban in. Boom, there it is, me. If you pick your team, you stick by it. Still allows new players to come in. If you've not picked a team, then fair enough, you come and play whatever team you want. But if you've stuck at a team, don't transfer. You shouldn't be allowed to. So that's one thing that's going to be interesting over the off season. Obviously, a bit of a rant from us over this, but it's been going on long enough. Kind of needs to end now. So hopefully they take some action on it. Anyway, this has been Britball with the Breens, episode number 9. Again, we hope you're enjoying. Today's been a bit of a longer one, so if you want to get in contact, feel free. But otherwise, we'll see you again next week.